Well, good morning, and we're still on our little project here. And what I was anticipate doing here is, as I put these pieces together, I'll show you some tips and techniques that I use to get this stuff real straight, get it to conform to the cartoon real well. And I'll apologize now. The last video I did, I watched it, and I did some cutting demonstrations, but you couldn't see me because the camera was to the left of where I was cutting. So anyway, I'm going to pay a little closer attention to that and try to fix that up where what I'm showing you can actually see. So what I'm doing right now, this is just preliminary stuff to try to get myself together with. Let me get my light box on. The pieces laid where we want them. Okay, we got the light box on, and I picked out all these pieces and laid them out in respect to how they look. And I did that on the light box. So, and then I cut here's what I'm using for the corners. And I use a template for that, or a pattern. And since theoretically they all should be the same, I go ahead and just cut these two right here out of this same pattern. And this stuff's a little bit difficult to get exactly right because it's extra thick glass. And if you can see here, I've beveled the edge down right along the grinder like that and along there so I can get the foil to fit. And on this particular panel, I'm going to use 1/4 inch for a place like this, which has got a lot of wide sections here. And then I have the 7/32 for the narrower or smaller pieces. Now I have cut or stripped off these strips of glass here in advance. And since I'm working real tight on real close lines, I'll show you how I compensate for those that don't exactly fit. Now this particular one right here, I managed to get it close enough that I don't have to do any grinding along the edge, but we have not set this angle here in yet. Okay, so I decided did a little work right here to get this to fit as well as I could. And then I went ahead and cut that angle. So that's the decision I've made, is there's where this one's going to be. So if you look down in there, we're off the cartoon about 1 millimeter right there. Okay, if you had cut these angles and all that stuff in advance, now you're going to have a problem because you're not conforming to the cartoon. Now, there are people, well, lots of people, and it used to be me too, that when something doesn't fit, like, I don't think people usually work with a hole that big, but if they have a cavity that size right there, they just fill it with solder. All right, what happens then, let me go to my photos here, and I'll get some ornate panel, and we'll show you where that might not necessarily be the best way to fly. Here we go. All right, if you get a panel like this, and let's blow this thing up. If you get a panel like this, and you're in these areas here, everywhere that the glass does not fit, that cavity is going to have to be filled with solder. And it's a mark of craftsmanship if you don't have a lot of variation in the width of these solder beads. Because if there's a lot of variation in the width of, we'll just go here, the width of that solder bead, then that means that you don't have this glass cut well. And theoretically, that solder bead should be the same exact width on both sides all the way down. Well, that's a function of how well you're cutting the glass, and number two, how well you're fitting the glass. There's a panel that a person is working on right now, would never say who it is, but there's a panel that a person's working on right now on Facebook, and they've got it mostly together, and there are gaps and holes absolutely all over that thing. Now, they'll cover all that up with solder, and, you know, I guess that's good enough, but this is pretty bad. So you can work yourself out of that situation, but it takes practice. The better you get at this, the closer the things fit. But there are things you can do to increase your ability to get to a better place. And so I'll show you a few of those things and then explain this. At least this is the way I'm doing it. I'm not saying my way is the only way or the best way, but this is the way I'm doing it. So because we don't fit that cartoon real exact right there, doesn't matter because we have not cut this angle yet. So we'll change this angle here off the cartoon to compensate for that. That 1 millimeter down in there won't matter. So let's go back and push this over just a little bit. Okay, now we have this piece fitting just right there, and I went ahead and made a cut here and made that right. But if you notice, and I hope I'll get down on this where you can see this, we're off the cartoon here, oh, I don't know, not quite 0.5 millimeter, and we're still off over here about 1/4 millimeter. I'll say, oh, gee, that's just so ridiculously close. Why would it matter? It does matter, and I'll tell you why, because if we're off that distance here, but I strip this glass off and get it right, then that piece of glass is going to be too wide right here. So at some point, you're going to have to fix this error. It's best to fix it at the first place in which you notice it, which is here. And I'm trying to get this glass back to the cartoon. Now here, and we've not done any cutting on this one yet. Here I'm looking and I'm right on the line right here, and I'm a little bit wide on the line right here. Okay, I won't worry about that yet, and I'll show you what we're going to do. So we don't have this piece altered yet, but what I want to see is, does it fit the cartoon? And it does fit the cartoon, so we're not going to change the shape of it by just beveling down the side. So this is the size it's going to be. So I could go ahead and make a decision right here on where to cut this piece or angle it. So I'm looking at this piece, and let's look at it on the light box. I would rather retrieve what I could out of this end rather than this dark end. So what we're going to do then is mark here, and I'll mark right there just for the heck of it, that line, so that when I put this dark in there, I can see it. Now, how do I know the angle to cut this on? Well, since we know this piece fits, I'm going to bring it in, and bear in mind that I want more of this and less of this. So I'm going to take this thing over all the way. Say we're going to go till we run out of glass. Probably about right there, about as far over as we can get. Although this is hidden underneath the edge of the 1/2 inch U-channel copper. We'll go over just a little. Boy, I think we can get over some more. See, I'm trying to get more of this glass visible. I think that's probably about as far as we're going to want to take it right there. Okay, so let's set this back on top and see where our line is here. We want to be on the edge, okay? And then let's set this right where we want it to go. So let's go ahead and mark that. Okay, we got a mark right there. So we can go over to this lighter colored paper right here, and we'll just cut that with a glass cutter. So I'm going to use this Fletcher glass cutter and just turn it upside down, and we'll run right along that line. Okay, and we're going to save that. I don't know what we're going to do with it. We're going to save it. Okay, so let's clean this off right here. When watching this camera today, I hadn't made any more or less very many videos lately, and oh, I know it's right there. And so I'm going to be a little more diligent in making sure you can see what I'm doing here. And this is all basic stuff, but there are a whole lot more people on Facebook, glass-wise, that are newer to this craft than those that have been around a long time. Just, I don't think that feels, it feels like that's butting up just a little bit. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, here's the fit that we want. Yeah, well, let me look here again. Okay, I want to get this. There we go. So, I'm glad I didn't grind on that. I'm off right there. Off right there, just a little. Looking for my foot switch. Okay, we just kind of tapered that in a little bit. Okay, and because we're going for this better color here on the end, we'll be chopping some of this off. Okay, so let's go back in here. That's where we want that to be. Right there. Okay, that's going to fly. There's a little bump right here. You know what I might as well do? I might as well show you how you do this. I saw some video the other day, and somebody had they make a bit, I forget what they call it, a textured glass bit, because this is so thick and so heavily textured, foil doesn't want to go over it real well, so they make a bit, that's, how do y'all want to say that, kind of shaped like this, and it sets on your table here, and the glass goes in it, and it grinds the top of it, or in some cases, I don't know, there may be some that grind the bottom, that like kind of a groove on both sides. But I think I had one of those a long time ago, but I don't want to have to take the bit off of here and put that on, put back and forth. Well, I have another grinder. So I've had as many as, what have I had, 3? I've only had 2 grinders at a time going. So I can set up another grinder right here. And if I had a lot of textured glass, I'd have one of those bits if it was what I wanted it, did what I wanted it to do. And I would set that up and run my textured glass and my regular glass back and forth on the appropriate grinder. So the key here, first off, is that this section of this particular piece of glass has to go into a copper channel. Well, see, you're obviously going to have to do something with it because it won't fit in there. So here's what we do. I'm up enough off this table with enough surface area to make this work. So I'm going to see if I can get my hands out of the way. These cameras will focus in on whatever's closest to them and blur out the rest. So let me see if I can do this with one hand and keep my hand out of there so the camera focuses on what we want it to focus on. Let me put my finger behind it. I'm not doing too well one-handed. Here, let's try that. So all I'm doing is just grinding a bevel. And this is what you do with textured glass that you can't get in to the channel on your lead came, or I think we need a little more. Get my hand out of there. And then I just have a piece of, let's get one that's not flared open so much. There you go. Okay, now I'm going to look down this thing and see if this fits. No, it doesn't fit. Where are we not fitting? Right up on this section right here. So let's go get that out of the way. Oh, look out. See if this fits. Here's the section that, oh yeah, there you go. Can you see that? Okay, that's one side. I'm trying to keep my hand out of there so you can see. A little more difficult. Trying to put my hand behind it now. I'll try that. Actually, There we go. I'm going to get into a spot where I can do it one-handed. I'm just grinding that hump down on that glass. I don't know whether the camera is picking this up well or not. Okay, let's see what that looks like. No, we don't have it yet. Where are we high at? Let's see how I'm rocking back and forth. It's telling me right there. Both hands knock it out. There it is. Okay, now all we have to do is look at this side and take a little off the side for the foil to go in, or on rather. One, and get this on top where you can see. I bet that's going to work. Okay, so we'll foil that real quick and then I will trim this off. There is one key thing I wanted to show you, and I've done this a couple of times on the previous videos, but it's a really good tip, and a lot of times I'll be doing something like this and I'll do something that I've done many times and somebody say, oh, I'm happy to see that. So not everybody watches every single video. So as I do these, I'll repeat some of this stuff over and over in case, boy, what are we doing here? We're not getting it to stick. So let's go right here again. Excuse me. There you go. There it went. Still don't want to stick. Okay, let's cut that off. Let's go here with get it clean. Try it again. 1/4 inch. We're using 1/4 inch foil here. I generally don't put 1/4 inch foil on much of anything except wider border pieces, stuff like that. I'm usually 7/32, and on these panels like that thing right there, it's all 3/16 inside of there. Okay. This foil, oh, it's an old machine. I swear, you can find these on eBay. I don't know what, I bought another one. I've got 2 of them. So I can go 7/32, 1/4, and 3/16, set them all beside each other and use all 3 foils. This particular panel here, I don't think we don't need any 3/16 on this one. 3/16 is for small stuff. And then I'll answer a question here in just a second before anybody asks it. When I thought about that when I did, when I came right here and I said we're right on that line, we're really close. I'll probably dust that off a little bit right there to compensate a little bit for this 1/1000th of an inch thickness of this foil, and of course the thickness of the foil on this particular piece. So let's just go ahead and burnish this. I always, in all the years I've been doing this, I've always tried to make it as easy as possible. Ooh-wee. Okay, so we've got a really beautiful angle there, and here, boy, we're very close to the original cartoon. Okay, now we still know that, in fact, I might get a lighter colored. Here, what'd I do with that? There it is. New. Oh, good. Okay, this is real dark here, so there's my mark right there. Okay, so let's put a mark. It's not showing up too good either. See if it shows up good enough for me to see it. Yeah. All right. So that's real faint, but I can see it. So let me see if if I can, oh, here's a different one. There you go. I can see that. I think I could have stabbed it at it and hit it pretty close anyway. Okay, so we're just going right over the top of that line. All right. Now, do we need... Oof. Oh, yeah. Okay, let me go. Now, see, because we haven't cut this yet, then we can make that to fit this spot. But what the real thing I wanted to show you here was we're up a very slight amount wide here, which needs to be dealt with. But here, this side seems a little worse. So what I've done, and I'm going to get right down here where you can see here. We're off the cartoon, 0.5 millimeter. I believe I said this already. And over here, just a little less. So the normal way of fixing that would be to come over here and start grinding it. Now, then you got to get really careful because you don't want to put, you got a straight piece of glass here. You don't want to put any undulations on there because now you're starting to mess around with your solder joint and the width of it. So we just need to take a small amount off, and guess what? This needs to be straight. Now you could come over on this side and hack it up here and get it short enough. This is going to go under the U-channel, right? So disfiguring this side, not going to cause you a lot of problems. But we might as well, I'd rather come over here and show you how to get a little bit off that. Now all of my stuff is subject to, I hope it works, because I don't edit these videos, which I think makes them considerably more helpful, because when I make mistakes, things don't work out, you get to see it. And then you also get to see me figure out how I'm going to get out of the problem. Okay, in this particular case, I'm going to use my cork-backed ruler, which is, this one's too long. I'd like to have a cork-back ruler that long. But anyway, I've got this one. Okay, so why do I need the cork back? Because I'm going to set that on top of that glass and make a scribe mark across there. And I don't want this thing moving around because that scribe mark is going to get real important because I'm going to use it to get the right amount of this glass ground off. And you can see looking down on this, and just like I said earlier, we're a little more proud of this side than this side. Proud's a term used in woodworking. I don't know about glass. I never heard anybody. Well, I've never been in a glass shop other than me working. I worked in one in Dallas one time, but the owner there was, well, like some artists. Ooh, that cat was strange, and he seldom ever talked. So he just put me over in the corner and start cutting glass. So anyway, we want to come across here, and we're actually coming at a very fine angle. So how are we going to do that? Well, and I'll bring this thing back out again, and everybody will ask, or there'll be some ask that haven't seen me before. tedpella.com, that's where I got this scribe. And this is a refill. You don't need a refill. I've been scribing with this thing for about 5 years. But I bought it because I thought, well, maybe I need a refill. So this scribe is 54468. And there it is down there where you can see it, tedpella.com. I will warn you, this thing I think is like $20, but they want about $20, $25 for the shipping, which I don't know. Somebody told me they asked them and got reduced shipping, and then somebody else told me they asked them and they didn't get reduced shipping. So I don't know. If you need a diamond scribe, I just have to pay whatever this thing costs because it is so good. Okay, now why do we want a diamond scribe? Because we're going to scribe a line onto that piece of glass that's indelible, that won't disappear as I try to grind it off. Okay, so now I'm pushing down on this because I don't want any movement here. Because this is a really critical line. If I screw this up, I screw this piece up. Okay, so now I'm in tight where the diamond can scratch the glass. And we're going to run right just about off the end. There it is. Okay. Now, whether you can see that or not, it's there, and it looks so perfect. Okay, if we go to the grinder, that'll immediately disappear because water will get in that little scribe mark. Can't see it. So we got a couple of different ways to go at this. Here's one. This is a paint pen. And I'm just going to... Oh, there it is. Okay. And I just want to get a drop of paint on that spot. Come on, baby. There it goes. See that? Okay, now I've got paint on that scribe spot. I hope you saw that. I'm sure you saw it. Okay. See that paint spot? Okay. Now here it's nearly not there, but that's because that line just tapers right out. So there's what we need to take off that glass. Now, if I come over here, I can do it right here. I can do it by grinding, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to the grinder. But this way, if I get on that line and stay on the line, I'm going to have a nice straight piece when I get finished. So let's see what we can do here. Let's go right in the middle of it. I think I'm going to get some more water. There's water in here, and you could punch that sponge a little bit and suck some more up. But I get a long time out of these bits. So I usually squirt them with water before I fire up again. And all we're doing, it can't get any simpler. I hope my hand is not causing any problem here. And all I'm doing is grinding right back to that line. Oh, look out, fool. All I'm doing is grinding right back to that line. I'll bear down on it a little more, take a little more there. See, and I'm just feathering along. Back and clean that right there. Taking it back to the line. Nice and gentle. Say, well, that sure seems to take a long time. I don't know. I don't really want to take that much time. Well, this is the wrong craft for anybody that's in a hurry. Actually, though, you can do all your stained glass quickly in a hurry. And it will look exactly like you did it quickly and in a hurry. So let's just take our time. Ooh-wee. I don't know what. Well, okay. If this worked out, then I'm gonna be real proud of this. Oh man, I just gotta tell you. Oh, no, not quite. Okay, I see a little part of my line right here still. Just a little. So let's come down here and just feather this off. Okay, now we've completely eliminated the line down on that right-hand section or right-hand part. See how close we get. Oh, man. There you go. All right. Now say, well, why are you so fanatical about that? It was close. Yeah, but these lines, or at least in my work, all these lines are going to be straight. And when I get through here, before we get too far along, I'm going to be measuring, let's see. I'm setting... Right, I'm still slightly above that line right here. Am I being caused any problem right here? Okay. Now is when I start really being careful. Uh-oh, there you go. Okay. See this? I hope this helps you in learning to fit glass. See the glass? Okay, now watch this. See, it's humped. It's on a hump. Now, is the hump on this board here, or is the hump on the glass? It shows up right here. So let's just take that off. And I know that people say, there's no reason to be that fanatical. Well, my stuff fits. Okay. I just don't think we need to be any closer than that right there. We're on the money. Okay, so here, this is so close right here, off right here about as much as we were right there. So there's not even anything to mark here. There's not enough room to mark. So before I start grinding right here, let me come over here and make sure there's nothing wrong here that would push this piece out. So we're going to go right back down there again. We're going to check that wobbling. Okay, no wobble. So we're going to start about right here and just try to dust off this top. And I say this every time I do one of these videos about this glasswork in respect to what we're doing right now. I always say the same thing. Just take it easy with the grinder. You can grind some more off. There's no embarrassment. Heck, man, I've been doing this for 50 years, and it doesn't embarrass me a bit if I had to go to the grinder 12 times to get this thing right, because I'm going to do whatever's necessary to make this thing fit. So there's no embarrassment involved. And, oh, man, I've learned how to cut glass. You wouldn't have to use the grinder so much. Well, I can cut that glass, but I don't think most people are trying to get these killer fits that I'm trying to get. You know, that thing is still a little bit, it's not enough that I can scribe it, but it's just not quite there. Now that's why I'm making these sweeping moves, because I don't want to set in one spot and dig a hole. So if you're trying to take just a little bit of glass off, you need to learn to make this sweeping move. And don't set in one spot. That's from my old beveling days. Ooh, I don't think maybe. There's only one guy that I know of that I don't think, he's not necessarily following me. He knows a lot more than I do. But there's a glass artist that's been around about as long as I have. His name is Wayne Kane. Man, does some really innovative stuff, not stuff that other people aren't doing, including me. We don't know how. Anyway, this thing still needs to be a little more. Well, I got it straight, but I just don't have it exactly where I want it. I'm bearing down on it a little bit more. Being a little lighter on this end. And pushing a little heavier on that end. You see how that makes that sweeping move? That way you don't sit in one spot. Grind yourself a hole. Well, we should be awful close here. I'm not saying we're going to get it, but we should be close. Oh, yeah. There you go. All right. You know, one thing I do to these to see 34. Okay, we fooled with that long enough. All right, so that's correct. So we could foil these two. And, you know, I'm probably not going to foil those two yet, because when I put this one in, I could alter either side of this to make this one fit better if I have any problem. I'm off that line here just a hair, but in this respect, it doesn't make any difference. A half a millimeter here or there won't matter. Okay, So let's cut one more and then we'll let you guys go. Okay, now here we are again. We know we want this piece here, so I'm going to be careful and lay this. And here's another one. Yeah. I'd like to salvage as much of this beautiful color as I could. So that means I need to cut as little of it as possible. Now, if you can see this, that's where we want it, everything down there. So now what we're going to do, we're going to look through the glass. Look through the glass. And I can see that edge down there. Now, I wouldn't do this one yet because you may be grinding and altering this one in case you have some sort of mistake right here. And you got all kinds of room here to get yourself squared back up. So let's cut this off. And we think this is real close. Silver snip. Let's clean the edge of that. And we'll see if we can get this to fit. And I gotta get this done. I know what this is. Get this. And then that moment of truth is already here. I gotta go figure this out. And I don't have that figured out. And that's the most important area of the whole piece. Oh, I know what I was supposed to answer. I forgot. Here, let's do this. Gee whiz, I don't think I'm going to fool with that. And fortunately for me, this one's the right width too. So let's just go ahead and fix that. And we're going to have a little waste here. Okay. And reset yourself, make sure everything's right, because you're getting ready to mark this thing. Mark it with that dark. Okay. And I'm going to put a square on that. That way I don't have to guess at this. Dang, there it is right there. Boy, I've never found a white marking pen that works consistently really well. I thought this was it, and it doesn't work so well either. It floods what you're doing, or let me wipe it off. We'll see if it would mark here. Let's just see if it will. I bought a half a dozen of these, and I don't think they're much good. Okay. There's our mark right there. I know you can't see it because I can barely see it. Let's just put a mark on it. See what I'm talking about? This stupid thing. So you want it to. So you push it in to load it, and then it might mark and it might not. That's not a square anyway. Okay, we're going to do it another way. I'll tell you what I have done when I couldn't see. Okay, here's scribe mark. See it? Just put a little tick right there. Okay, since that line is square with this, let's just put our guide across here and run the glass cutter over that. See what I'm doing now? The wheel up in there. All right. If we didn't make a mistake somewhere in the process, there we go. Tiny bit short, doesn't matter. By the time you put the foil on here, the foil on there, the foil on there, probably move us over a little bit. Let's see what we got. One other, for some reason, some controversy. Here, we're going to go ahead and foil this one. I was just showing you something. Okay, you don't need foil all the way around this thing, right? You only need foil on 3 sides. And invariably, somebody will come back and say, well, I was taught. Well, okay. Put it all the way around if you want to. That's fine. My favorite thing is I was taught. Well, if you did everything exactly the way you were taught in grade school, junior high, high school, college, how would we ever advance, or how would we ever improve? Okay, now I hope you notice, you want that foil on there uniform, straight, both sides. Because where the foil goes, your solder goes. That's not perfect, but it's awfully close. Okay, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do this one, and then we'll leave this one open. And I can alter it in this one if I have problems. Okay, so let's put this one on. Anyway, you can see here real quick, what's the point of putting foil all the way around this thing? Oh, I'm so old, I used to buy foil for $1.59 a roll. You'll never believe this. You're going to think I'm making this one up. I used to go down to Dallas, and there was a company down in Dallas called RSR. And I don't know what RSR meant, but they were a big producer of solder and stuff like that. And I used to buy 100 pounds of solder, put it in the back of my car for $200. 60-40. Of course, if you talk to anybody that's old, they'll tell you all about, oh, I bought bread for $1 and all that. Yeah, well, man, I don't know what we're in right now, but the stuff is moving faster than you can keep up with the prices. All right, here we go. Now see this? Uniform. You want that foil on there uniformly. If that foil's doing any of this, your solder bead is doing that. Look at that. Now when I get done with this, all those lines are going to line up perfectly, or as perfect as I can get them as a human. And I always put extra attention into this stuff, or all of it for that matter, because it's so important. And we'll go back up here again. How do you do that? Let's go backwards. Here, all right. Oh, wait a minute. We don't need any. We got enough submarines right now. There. Now let me blow this thing back up. All right. You got to get these. Here, let me find one right here. You got to get these lines straight. And if you're moving around in here, and I keep seeing this particular piece that's got these gaps. This person that's putting this panel together, there are gaps everywhere. Unnecessary gaps, because guess what? They went and cut all the glass in advance. The leaf, I'm not going to tell what this piece looks like. I'll just make a statement if this was mine. Cut all these leaves first and all these pieces first. Then they come back and try to put that together. Well, it doesn't fit. It's not going to fit. And so consequently, they're just going to fill all these cavities with solder. Poor workmanship. That's what it is, you know. Now, if you don't know any better, we understand that. But if you're and then you call yours, I'm going to get into too much of this, but this person is out there soliciting work and talking about commissions of this and that and all that. I'm going, wow, you know. And then people that don't know any better look at it, oh, that's fantastic. My stuff's not above anybody. In fact, I can go to current stained glass people right now that are doing some incredible work. But they don't have giant voids and gaps in between their pieces. So that's what you're working toward, to get out of that. Anyway, enough of that, I guess. All right, so that's where we're at right now. What I'll do is just keep going on this until I come into it. Well, when I get not much of this left, when I get this done, then I got to figure this out. I don't have this figured out, so I'm going to have to put some time and effort into trying to get the color worked out for this. And this is not going to be that easy to get this thing worked out. Here's what we're working with. We're working with this right here. And I'm going to take this real light colored glass, and I might be able to shift that, or some of this blue here, and put that blue here, here, and here, if I have enough to get that done that way. That's what I'd like to do. And then come back in here, and there's where I'll have to put some time and try to figure this out. Okay, well, I hope this little bit helps you. If particularly I know this is a good tip, because it wasn't too long ago that I would go over to the grinder and try to straighten that out on the grinder. Now here, I was able to do it. Didn't have any choice because we didn't have enough to grind off to get a line on. But if you're going to have to grind any appreciable amount down on a piece like this, then you're going to get yourself into a waving line unless you're really good with your hands and able to go back and forth across there and keep it straight. And that's somebody that can really use a grinder, because that has to be totally straight in comparison to here too, because if you're off here, you're not going to get any help here because you're already flat here. So you're working with two parallel lines that both have to be straight. Okay. Well, anyway, if you have questions about this stuff, be sure and ask me. Thank you so much.